Washington, D.C. Shadow Senator Ankit Jain is on now to talk a little bit more on this. Senator, thank you for coming on. You say you're worried the president will make things worse here. Why is that?
Running a police force for a major metropolitan city is not an easy job. You look at what the federal government's track record has been in fighting crime in D.C. Many people don't know the federal government actually already has a lot of responsibilities in D.C. to address crime. The president nominates and the Senate confirms every single one of our local judges. And the president nominates and the Senate confirms our attorney who prosecutes every single adult crime in the city. We don't have a local attorney for adult crime prosecution. And you look at the job they've done there. They have failed spectacularly at both of those responsibilities. We have a judicial vacancy crisis in D.C. because we don't have enough judges because the president isn't nominating anybody. 1 out of every 5 judges in our lower court position is empty. 2 out of our 9 higher court positions are empty. And then you look at the U.S. Attorney's Office. You had the president's appointee, Jeanine Pirro, go on Fox News a few days ago and basically beg people to apply to work in her office. And why is that? Because her predecessor, Ed Martin, also a Trump appointee, fired dozens of attorneys whose only crime was prosecuting people who had committed violent offenses on January 6th. And so I guess she's not hired those people back. There's a crisis of vacancies both in her office and in the judiciary. If they can't meet those basic responsibilities, how are they going to run a police force for a city of the size and complexity of D.C.? I just think this is going to end in disaster.
Now, D.C.'s mayor says violent crime there is at a 30-year low, but data shows the homicide rate is still worse than many other major cities. It's nearly 7 times higher than New York's. So why shouldn't the federal government help?
Yeah, so the stats I've seen is we're number 51, according to 2025 numbers, in terms of violent crime in this country, right? And so there's a lot of cities in this country that can work on reducing violent crime. D.C. is, of course, one of them. And I don't see the president sending in the National Guard, for example, to Memphis, Tennessee, or to Nashville, or to Dallas, some of which are controlled by Republicans, by the way. Why is he sending in the National Guard to D.C.? And the reason is because he's using us as a testing ground for his attempts to take over cities, right? We're the guinea pig for the MAGA agenda, and he's seeing, can it work here? And if it does, he's going to expand it to New York City, to Dallas, to these other cities. The solution to crime problems in D.C. is for us to be able to do our job and for the federal government to do its job in supporting us in reducing crime. We are doing the right thing. We're on the right track. Crime is down significantly from this year to last year, and even more from last year to the year prior. And if the president would just fulfill his duties, we would have continued to go on this track. And now I'm worried we're going in the wrong direction.
That said, Senator, D.C. is the nation's capital. Do you think the Biden administration should have done more in 2023 when crimes like murder and car theft spiked?
Well, what I do think the Biden administration could have done a little bit better at, and what I think national Democrats can do, is push harder for D.C. statehood, right? One of the reasons that we're seeing this problem is because of this weird mismatch of local control of the police, federal control of our prosecutors. Our lack of D.C. statehood is causing people to die every day in the city. And so what we need is for national Democrats to make that push for D.C. statehood. And you can see the consequences right now, just based on what the president is doing, that we don't have statehood. So we're seeing people die because we don't have statehood. So we need national Democrats to continue to push for statehood and to reject any effort by Trump and Republicans to take over D.C., whether that's this federal takeover or whether it's any of the other laws that the Republicans are proposing to take away rights from Washingtonians.
You also say the district needs federal action, but not like this. So how do you want to see the federal government intervene? What's the solution?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of judicial vacancies in D.C. We have a judicial nomination commission that has forwarded nominees for every single vacancy that we have in our local court. All the president needs to do is pick judges from that list and move them forward to the Senate and then push the Senate to quickly confirm those nominees. So we need him to do that. We need them to hire more U.S. attorneys for the U.S. Attorney's Office. Ideally, they can hire back those excellent prosecutors who Ed Martin fired for prosecuting January 6th insurrectionists. And finally, the federal government controls our parks as well. There's a lot of circles and small little triangles in D.C. that are federal land. And you see those areas are completely neglected. There's overgrown weeds. There's a park, Meridian Hill Park in D.C., that has a fountain that has not been running for many, many years. We need the federal government to take care of those things, to beautify D.C. in those ways, and that's what we can have the federal government do to help us fight crime.
President Trump needs congressional approval to use D.C. police for longer than 30 days. What kind of conversations are you having with your colleagues about that?
Yeah, so I know that Congressman Raskin in the House, he's introduced a bill to end the emergency. Congresswoman Norton, who's our delegate to the House, she is working with Senator Van Hollen to just take away this authority entirely for the president to take control of our police force. I think that bill is being introduced momentarily, and we're pushing on that front. I think that the president, the Congress could extend the emergency if they pass a bill through the Congress, right? And so we're going to be engaging very rapidly with Senate Democrats to make sure they filibuster anything like that. I have been working regularly and meeting regularly with Democratic senators to get them to push back and vote against some of these other attacks on D.C. that the Congress has introduced even before the president was doing this. And so that work will continue to make the case that all of these efforts to take away rights from Washingtonians are all part of the same agenda to take over D.C., and they should vote against every single one of them, not just as a charity to the people of D.C., but because the president himself has said that he's starting in D.C., he's going for New York City, Chicago, Phoenix, Philadelphia. He's coming for these other cities next. And if you don't want to be next, then let's stop this now in Washington, D.C.
All right, Washington, D.C. Shadow Senator Ankit Jain, we appreciate your time today, sir. Thank you.
Great to be on. Thank you for having me.